Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 5 of Keeping It Digital, the weekly show where we cover some of the interesting things going on in the digital space. I am Adrian, also known as Ace, and to my fans, I am the Catman. And to my left, I got
Vivek George. How's it going, everyone?
And we are recording it the week of Google's I/O event, their yearly conference for developers, and they released a whole bunch of different things, and we won't get into specifics. But what we want to talk about this particular week is the fact that Google is such a diversified company. So this week they launched their own tablet. They obviously had their own mobile phone device. They released an upgrade to their mobile operating system. They released a set-top device to hook up to your television set, your home audio
Glasses.
Google Glasses, which is kind of like some Terminator type of product. And so they're everywhere. And what are your thoughts on the fact that Google's pretty much doing any and everything they could think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very much core to Google's business in general. I mean, they've always had this 20% rule for developers and design people and so forth. That 20% of the time is devoted on creating new products, new ideas. They have this Google X Labs, which is very, very top secret, working on really interesting ideas like the glasses, like the Google car. So this is very much in line with their philosophy of continue to create products, whether it's focused on research or something very different.
Maybe we should spend a little bit of time just explaining some of the products.
Yep.
So the Google Glass, what it basically is like a pair of glasses you put on your eyes, and it allows you to kind of like see. It's like augmented reality. So as you have it on, you can take pictures. Maybe you can pull up information about what you're actually looking at. Yeah. The Google Car is a computer-driven car that allows you to sit back and have Google, drive you around, powered by Google Maps. Yeah. The tablet that just came out is very much similar to, an iPad or a Kindle Fire or a Barnes and the Nook tablet or something like that. And they're pretty much doing a lot of different things. And I think,
even last year they bought up Zagat.
Yeah. Why? That's just
now they have reviews. If you look up a restaurant and maps and so forth, they put those reviews inside the maps.
To me, that move kind of screamed of desperation, though, because who uses Zagat or Zagat, however it's pronounced? Yeah. To me, it seems like such a antiquated thing. It seems like something like people did back in the 70s, like, oh, what's that Zagat review? But after 1995, don't people use like Yelp or
Urban Daddy or Urban Spoon? Yeah, there's a lot of different solutions out there. I mean, I think Google's takes a very different angle to companies like Apple, companies like Facebook, are extremely focused on their core business. I'm not exactly sure what's better or what's good. I mean, definitely Google financially has done really well with this model.
Well,
Will they continue to go that way?
Well, I guess we'll see, but I guess we have a couple $1 billion that allows you the flexibility to do kind of different things. But on that note, as far as Google and there seemed to be lack of focus versus Apple and their tremendous amount of focus, it kind of begs the question, like the whole diversification versus non-diversification. So by that, right? So you got people like Microsoft. They also do tablets. They do gaming. Yeah. They do mobile devices, right? You got Google that's also doing a lot of different things. And what's going to win out? Is it the company that tries a bunch of different things and see what works and throws a lot of stuff to the wall, see what sticks and goes with it? Or is it something like Apple that says, these are the only things we're going to be building and we're going to stay in this market until we can, become the king of it?
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm more of a fan of the Apple model. Mm-hmm. I think I can't say bad things about Google's model because I really think they're progressing humanity forward with the type of projects that they're trying to do. I think it's really they're pushing the envelope with these.
With the exception of Google Plus, that's not pushing anyone forward.
Maybe backwards.
Yeah, that is. I prefer Friendster. I'm still on MySpace. I boycott Google Plus.
Yeah, well, you should tell Jason that. But they're really trying to do some great things with a lot of these side projects they're doing, and they're really turning into full-time project. But I believe in Adrian, you and I are working on our own project. Like I think when we think about Bueller, we think about just being extremely focused on that project. And making it awesome, making it number one in its space. And I think that's what Apple applies to their business. They only want to be number one in anything that they touch.
They want to be excellent.
They want to be excellent. They want to be number one, maybe number two in that category, and that's it. And I think Google's satisfied being everywhere, having the brand everywhere, and being maybe number one, number two, maybe number five,
You know,
whatever.
I'm a fan of the Gordon Gekko approach, which is kind of like, it's about greed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want 50% market share. I don't want 60. I want 100. You know what I mean? And if I have 100, I want 110.
Yeah.
Like, for me, so I guess I also do agree with with Apple approach, but I can't, certainly, big hat tip to Google and what they did. Like, today at the event, I thought it was incredible. The fact when they announced their Google Glass project, they actually had someone skydive on to the actual event wearing the glasses, and they were actually streaming the video. So as you're there, in the audience looking at the video, you're seeing someone skydive on top of the roof. You know what I mean? So that's just nuts. To go back to what you're saying as far as the whole humanity thing, like. Yeah. They're really pushing us to a level of technology that hasn't existed ever before.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I think the first and foremost project, Google Search, is a great example of it, right? The search was out there before them, but no one had done it as well or as focused as Google did it, and that's why they're such a dominant company, dominant player.
Yeah.
Where the future goes, though, I'm curious. I wonder if it's sustainable. And I think you and I are sort of agreeing that the strategy may not be right, but is it sustainable or what do you think?
I think you're hitting on something. I think it is sustainable because you never know what's going to stick. You never know what's going to be the next Google search. Like AdWords was a complete was an accident. So the fact that when you search on Google, you see relevant ads to the right. The engineer that developed that actually was just playing around. He was on a book website. He was saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be interesting if I could see other books related to this particular book?" He found some open source software that did that. Showed that to his manager, some marketing guy. So I was like, it'd be interesting to do that on the search. It became what's that 70% now of Google's $1 billion enterprise. But that was an accident. But what was not an accident is their release today of their set-top device, which they're calling the Nexus Q. And so what it basically is a device to hook up to your home audio system or your TV, and it allows you to stream content from your Android device, whether that's a mobile phone or tablet, directly to your speakers or directly to your television. I kind of think this is a good example of diversification done wrong, or like being everywhere done wrong, because it's a underpowered device. If you compare it to, like, say, an Apple TV or Roku device or Boxee, big shout out to them. They may be using Bueller. It's very underpowered in comparison to those products, but they're charging 3 times the price.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful looking device. I actually haven't had a ton of time to look into it, but from what I've been reading and talking to people about, it doesn't seem like it's revolutionary by any means, and it's extremely expensive.
$300 for a device that basically is just a glorified amplifier. That's really all it is.
Yeah. So I think Google's just trying to figure out the ropes. Sort of like maybe they did with tablets. They launched a bunch of tablets for $500, $600, and it was a total failure. So, like you said, they're a company with billions of dollars.
The manufacturers did that. Like today was the announcement of their first Google branded tablet.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
But going back to the point is that, this device, they have a lot of money. They can throw it at it, just try to see what happens. I mean, hey, their Google Glass is, what, $1,600?
$1,500.
$1,500. I mean,
that's the price of
who's going to pay
a lot of people's rent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So unlikely normal people will be buying it. Definitely super tech enthusiasts with,
You would buy it. If you had the money, you'd buy it, right?
Yeah, I think so. If I had the money, I would buy it, but I don't. So unfortunately, I might have to just borrow someone's glasses that I know has it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not. If I had it, I wouldn't let you borrow it because you'd keep it.
Probably would. I don't know. Walking around with those things, I don't think would help my game.
Ladies?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the ladies really.
It's like, let me look you up and down.
Check you out on LinkedIn and Facebook, stalk you.
Let me poke you on Facebook and in real life. But this all basically leads to who's going to win, right? So you got Google now, and they're competing with Amazon, they're competing with Apple, they're competing with a whole bunch of different companies, right? And who's going to win?
It's. I mean, I don't think anyone really knows, right?
Yeah.
I think Apple for sure. It's always been number one in the spaces they're in, essentially.
Yeah.
They're always a dominant player, but you can never underestimate Jeff Bezos, and you can never underestimate the team at Google, right? So it's super hard. I think it's very competitive. I think technology-wise, they're going to be pretty equal.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be really, really hard to outdo each other technology-wise. And so I think it's going to be a content play, a lot of it. I will say,
well, I think we should definitely spend a little bit of time talking about the whole content piece.
Yeah, but one thing we can go back to, but one thing I do want to say about the tablet itself, I think the form factor is a super important thing. I'm a huge fan of the 7-inch.
Well, they're all copying Apple though.
Well, no, but Apple's got a 10. Apple's a 10-inch.
It's the Google tablet looks like an iPad with 7 inches.
Yeah, I personally think that form factor is a better decision. Because
the size, you like the size.
Yeah, the size. Sorry, because it's a very easy portable thing. You can put it in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Women can easily put it into their purses. While something with an iPad, you're carrying it, but if you're going to carry it in your hand, then maybe you might as well have your
laptop.
If you're getting it in your hand, you're okay.
Yeah.
But how often are people walking around with an iPad in their hand? They're probably throwing it in their bag. And if you're going to put it in your bag, then you might as well have your laptop. Might as well get a MacBook Air with a full keyboard, much more powerful device.
Yeah.
And so I've always been very skeptical of the iPad. I mean, obviously, sales have been very contrary to my belief about that.
But to your point, what you're basically saying is that they're going to be competing, and maybe Google will own the tablet space under 10 inches and under $500, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they're already owning it because the second most popular tablet besides iPad is Android powered devices.
Yeah.
Whether you include
the
Android Fire, Amazon's Fire, the Barnes and Noble devices. Some of them I believe are running Android. And so Google seems to be, maybe that's how they position themselves. And I think it's not a zero sum game. I mean, there's going to be an opportunity where someone's going to own 40% of the market, someone's going to own 60%, and there's going to be a lot of different choices out there for end users. I mean, look at Microsoft, right? Like we talked about in episode number 4 of Keeping It Digital that you can find at Bueller.tumblr.com. They have 2 different versions of their tablets.
Yeah.
One for consumers, one for professionals. So it's a lot of variety. Everyone seems to benefit.
Yeah, I think everyone is benefiting a different way. I think Apple's being very siloed to their business and to only their tablet. While if you look at Amazon, Amazon's creating these. You can have a Kindle reader on an iPad. You can have it on their own device. I'm sure going to be able to.
That goes back to the content thing. It's because Amazon has access to that content where they could do ballsy, creative moves like that. And when you don't have access to the content, it's going to be pivotal because I think that's where it's going to boil down to. The reason why people aren't necessarily abandoning Netflix, massively is because where else can you go to get that much amount of content? And even Netflix doesn't have a good streaming selection.
Yeah.
But it's still, way better than Amazon's, offering, or Crackle, which I tried recently, which sucks. It just at the end of the day, it boils out to content and these Hollywood providers and them hopefully making it easy for people to be able to access the content, or people will pirate it, such as some people I know, but not myself because that would be illegal. I guess what we're saying is everything's great, and
I think it's great for the end user, right? I think the marketplace is super competitive. Our good Twitter friend Aaron Levy, he had a tweet today saying something about sooner or later tablet devices are going to go down to 0, right? Because it started off around $500-$600 with the iPad. The Googles tried to compete there. No, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Now you saw the Kindle Fire come out at $200.
Yep.
Now you see the Google device today come out at $200.
Yep.
I think these type of things are going to continue to go down in price, and end users benefit from having a much cheaper device with lots of content or growing amounts of content on it.
Right.
So it's extremely competitive, and for end users, it's a win-win for sure.
So to wrap things up, what is the future of Google? Where is Google going to be 5-10 years from now? What's the future of Google?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think they're definitely going to be a strong player because
strong player where? Like in what industries?
I mean, I think search will still be there. I think I doubt they'll make much headway in social. I think new technologies, especially with this car and glasses, they're always going to be a big player because they probably own so many patents on that space that they're going to be able to continue to license those patents and continue to build products on it. They have such a head start and they have such a brand name behind it. So they're going to continue to be important. I think they're going to definitely lose out. Like I said, in search, they're going to probably lose pretty. In social, they're probably going to lose pretty big.
Yep.
Maybe some of the enterprise plays. I think ads is a big one they're going to get hurt by. Because
Really?
with Facebook, Facebook doing their own ad network, I think it's going to be really hard for them to compete. So it'll be an interesting space for them. What do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'm going to say something crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now. It's going to sound wild and crazy because I don't usually say crazy stuff.
Oh, okay.
So this is new. I'm kidding. I honestly believe in 3 to 5 years from now that Google will literally be Skynet. I am not kidding. So what I mean by that is this.
You're not a real techie nerd and don't know what Skynet is.
Yeah, I honestly believe in the next 5 years, Google will have all of our social security information, our health records. They already have Google Health. That's live, by the way.
But no, not anymore. It went down.
Well, they'll bring it. They'll throw us a few $1 billion at it. Don't worry, it'll come right back up.
I get it.
They will have access to all of our emails, all of our search records, all the content that we consume. And they'll be able to provide us with services that, on the premise, it makes our lives easier because it's customized for us. But on the back end, it's really developing this algorithm and this computer that's going to suck humanity in. And so, again, this is some pretty trippy stuff. Unless you're smoking something, what I'm saying to you may not make sense. But I honestly believe the fact that they have all this data, it's going to be put to use somehow. You know what I mean? Like, that search engine is not just a small little utility. People search, and it's really an intent engine. Like when you search for something, it's what you want or what you're interested in learning about, and you can tell a lot about a person from their searches. You can tell a lot about a person by the content they consume, when they consume it. I watch cartoons in the mornings and I watch news in the evening. Where I consume it with Google Maps, who I'm hanging out with Google Plus. There's so much information, and I honestly believe that in 5 years from now, we'll walk into a bank. Someone will just we won't have to sign anything. They'll say, "Oh, you're Agent Grant. All right, I'll shoot you an email when your bank account's been activated. Say hello to the wife and kids or whatever like that, and boom, boom, boom." I honestly believe that's going to be the future of Google.
I think without going into a huge debate about it, I mean, I think that's why competition is great. For sure, the Facebooks of the world are going to
do the same exact thing.
Going to push against that,
and they're going to make it even creepier.
We'll see. I think competition is going to allow for companies to build stuff that end users want, and end users are going to push back. I think to being super creepy like that. I
think this leads into an interesting discussion about privacy, because I think the only people that care about privacy is people over the age of 22. I think if you're under 22, what they call privacy is what we call you being insane. They sext, they send pictures of themselves topless, they do all these different things, and for them it's normal. It's not weird because everyone does it.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, oh my gosh, why would you ever put on Facebook that you're doing drugs or anything? That's stupid. What if an employer sees that? To them, they don't care, and that's the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of truth to that. I think we're growing. Children that are growing up in this time frame don't know a world without Facebook. Don't know a world without Twitter and the web and all that stuff.
And being able to share.
So people are much more open. You're totally correct about that. I agree.
And that's why I think that when Skynet does exist, once this universal digital identification system does exist, I don't think people will push against it. I really don't think so. Yeah. I think the people that will push against it would be us old folks like, oh no, give us back our CD players and our Walkman. Yeah. We like Friendster, bring that back. Yeah. But these young kids will be like, get out of the way, old man. Implant my chip right here so I could get a free Coca-Cola or whatever the hot beverage is at the time or whatever like that.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. But excited to see the stuff that came out today for Google.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how the race to
owning everyone's brain.
Yeah.
And who wins that competition. I hope it's Google. I'm rooting for. Actually, I hope it's Facebook because I like Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm not creeped out at all by the fact that he doesn't have any sense of privacy and he'll harness anyone's data to make money off of it. That's cool with me. I got no problem, Mark. I love Facebook. So you guys can find out more about the stealth startup that Vivek and I are working at Bueller.com, BUELLR.com. We're going to be launching probably in 3 to 5 weeks. We're currently working with a couple launch partners, a couple of big name brands, and so it should be really interesting. And got a couple surprises. But go to Bueller.com to sign up to get an email alert once we launch. because we're inventing the next sliced bread, the next Skynet, the next Maserati. It's the greatest thing. It's like Steve Jobs and Godzilla all in one.
Let's not hype it up too much, man. We want to keep people's expectations like a great movie. You don't want to
You don't want to ruin it.
Yeah,
well, I guess potato.
Yeah,
to me,
so,
it's the world's
but
greatest thing.
we're excited about it. So thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week.
All righty, later.